What is up, RC enthusiasts? Let's check out the new REDCAT Ascent 18 scale. Wait a minute. Something seems to be wrong here. It looks like the controller in the truck, but... Oh, look what I just did. This is a Hobby Plus rig. One of their old school rigs right here. This is actually the REDCAT Ascent right here. It's an unlicensed body, but it's a Hobby Plus body. And, yeah. Wheelbase fits on there perfectly. And beside the Rock Hobby Katana, as you can tell, it makes it look like a beefier Land Cruiser that's definitely more lifted on some bigger wheels. Let's check this out right here. All I had to do to fit this body was drill 2 new holes up front, just a little further forward, and that lined up the wheel wells perfectly. In the rear, it's actually just on there. And I'm going to show you my little Jimmy rig to fit that on there. But the front is pretty much how it goes on there when you use the actual mounts they include, but they just don't include the hardware to get it all on there. But thankfully my Hobby Plus rig had all the hardware I needed. And now let's take the body off so I can show you how I rigged this body on here. You can tell that's very Jimmy rigged in the back. I have the body posts that come with this rig attached at the bottom half, and I have it extended with the Hobby Plus mounts up here with 2 body pins holding it in place right here. And yeah, it looks sloppy and everything, but the way I have them set up is the slop is all towards this side, outerwards, so when I actually put them in their mounts, it's actually pretty stable and stays centered. So that's a pretty good rig right there, because now I don't have to permanently make anything, and I can just unmount these, reuse these on the other truck. I can do body swaps, no problem. These wheels right here, link in the description below, were provided to me by RC All-Wheel Drive. And these wheels are pretty cool because you can adjust the weights. All you have to do is just take out the center pieces. And this is what they look like when they're off the rig right here. Yeah, just unscrew those and you change the wheel weight. So as you can tell, I kind of went to a front bias. Let's not delay this any further. Let's go ahead and get the servo out of there to check it out inside and make sure we can waterproof that right. And this ESC receiver combo right here. Servo wire right here. Unplug that. And we're gonna have to route that all the way down, pulling it all the way down through all this area right here so we can pull the servo out. And the servo, all you're gonna need to do is unscrew this to remove this servo arm, and then remove this 2 screws right here on both sides, and then you should be able to slide your servo out of there. So they're not gonna make this an easy job for us, are they? They're gonna want us to remove the battery tray. Oh, it doesn't matter because I didn't even look down here, and it looks like they zip tied both those wires together to the actual battery tray right there. Let's remove these screws right here. I'm assuming if we can just remove these 2 screws and lift up one side, prevent us from having to disassemble the whole battery tray. Yeah, we can lift it up. So if you can lift it up, you can pull the wire through. Be careful, because you don't want to desolder the motor wires. Not sure if I'm even getting this on camera. Am I getting this on camera? I'm like the worst at this. Here we go. The ESC receiver combo looks like it's double-sided tape down there, so we're gonna have to use some sort of flathead to pry it out of here. Looks like we're going to be able to re-stick that down to that. Should work. Especially if we don't keep on touching it. I'm going to use Plasti-Dip, but you could use whatever you want. They have conformal coating. They have all sorts of other ways to do it. But this is the reason I do it with Plasti-Dip, is because I have a lot of Plasti-Dip. I Plasti-Dip a lot of stuff. So I just always have Plasti-Dip on me, and that's what I use. And it's been successful for me, and it's been reliable for me. Just as long as you do it right. Stick them underneath the tabs right here. That opens that up. Be careful with the antenna, you don't want to break that, reduce range. It does look like it has some sort of conformal coating. Oh yeah, look, see how the board is shiny like that? It looks like they conformal coated it, so I think it's waterproof out the box. Or water resistant at least. Just carefully pry it out of there. I'm not sure if you guys saw me do that. There you go, yeah, even the bottom has coating. It's not completely coated, but they definitely coated it. And you see how they left kind of like this dry spots here? You can tell it's really coated and wet right here on the sides. but right there, that's a dry open spot. Water will actually seep into that spot right there. It's kind of like cardboard. I mean, it's not a cardboard material, but water will seep in there and find its way to ruining stuff. So it's those little things that they miss that I'm trying to coat. So you can see here, miss a spot right here that's dry. This whole area is nice right here. This whole area is dry. They have a dry area right here. So you can see it's wet right here. Well, it's not really wet, but you know, they got that glossy finish. That means it's been waterproof. But it's dry right here. So since it seems to be water resistant out of the box, I'm just gonna, you know, plasti dip it just for redundancy to make it, you know, a little bit more secure, so I feel safe actually doing what I do with it, because, you know, I don't want it to be just water resistant. I want this thing to be a submarine, you know what I mean? Well, let's go check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and plasti dip this real quick. I'll show you guys how I do that. Just, you know, not the full sit there and watch it dry and stuff, but I'm gonna show you my little technique. And also, you're gonna have to get into your servo. That's the reason I took the servo off. You're gonna need to get in here, and you're gonna have to get marine grease and stuff the whole gearing area with marine grease, so it's hard for the water to ingress into the electronics area. And I'm also going to be plasti dipping all these seams after I plasti dip the whole board in there. So here's that little board I'm talking about inside the servo. I'm going to plasti dip that as well. I'm going to also plasti dip behind this motor, all these wires right here, just to help, you know, from ingress of water. Just in case water does get in here, it has a harder time getting into the more important stuff. So with my technique, since I use a spray plasti dip, I spray it into a cap. Like so, you know, obviously you shake it and do all your good stuff. Spray enough of it into a cap. But I'm going to pause this video. It's going to be a second for you guys. I'm going to wait for this plasti dip just to settle a little bit. Get all this air bubbles out of there. And get a little bit more, you know, thick. So that way it's easier to put on without it just dripping off. Well, here I am halfway coating the board already, and I didn't press record. What do you know? But yeah, this is how I did it anyway. Just get a little bit of the plasti dip on this toothpick, which is like to use toothpick because it's wood and it's probably not going to damage anything easily on the board. And just dab it onto your plasti dip that's a little bit settled now and a little thicker. And it should stick onto the parts a lot easier and stay in that area versus flowing down somewhere else. And pretty much you're just going to be covering the board like so until you get it completely covered. Also, when you're doing this, you see the edges right here where it's exposed still. Don't forget to coat those. It's very important. Those edges are where the water is actually going to seep in through there, even if you think you did a great job on the top. If the water seeps in through there, it's going to get underneath and still get to the circuit. There you go. As you can tell, I got the top of the motor as well, because that's a plastic cap, and you know, anywhere I can stop water from getting into anything electronic, I'm happy with that. Now we're going to want to do the same thing to the board. You know, just get it all nice and coated. One other important note right here is you see the little tip of the antenna. Put some plasti dip on that as well so no water goes in there. And now, time to tackle the bottom side. Well, there you go. Board's completely covered. 2-in-1 ESC receiver combo. Protected. Hopefully it'll be fine. Now once this dries completely, if you notice any little pinhole looking things that look like little air bubbles or anything, go ahead and fill those in real quick with some plasti dip just to be safe. Usually they're pretty sealed, but I would just go ahead and be safe and do that. Redundancy is the key to not having to buy more stuff as soon as you need, you know, sooner than you need to. The plasti dip has dried. Now I'm going to put the case back on, and then we're going to go ahead and plasti dip these seams right here. I want to plasti dip around this wire area, make sure nothing can get in there, all the seams right here, and this seam. And I also want to plasti dip around the screws, just to make sure nothing gets in as much as possible. Sometimes you get lucky and you can get these things to last forever, but sometimes you didn't do a good job in the waterproofing, or, you know, that dang water just finds its way in everywhere. And it'll damage your stuff anyway. So do this at your own risk. This is just what I do. I do a lot of water runs. I have fun doing that, and it's not for everyone, but if you like water runs, you definitely have to deal with a lot of maintenance to your rig as well, not just waterproofing. All the stuff you got to do after you do that water run is insane just to keep this thing running smooth. Glob it up in this area, let it drip into that big entrance that it has to get to the inside of the servo on both sides. I'm going to do that until it doesn't want to accept any more plasti dip. Oh, it's already overflowing. Okay, I guess that's good. I'm not sure if the camera view shows you guys. There's a plasti dip flow right here. Don't forget the top of the screws. Get a glob on top of each one of those. See, so once you have the servo all nice and globbed up like this and waterproofy, Just wait for that to dry and we can reinstall everything. Well, you have to be careful when you're using black plastic dip on this board because it's a black board. And as you can tell back here, see that shiny spot that looks like a wet spot in all those areas? Those are areas I didn't plastic dip. And that's why you wait for it to dry and you reapply. There you go, reapplied. Alright, let's go ahead and get this case back on this guy. Just snaps on here. And then we get the top, slide the antenna through the little antenna hole. Can I do this on camera? Oh, talented son. Snap back. Oh yeah, and the sticky stuff is still holding. Now I always get this question all the time. Hey, what about the brushed motor? You gonna do anything to waterproof that? And my answer is no, because most brushed motors are inherently waterproof and you should be fine running this in water. You could submerge this motor completely and keep it running. But my only advice is when you're done running in water, just to always go ahead and keep on running your rig. So make sure you save enough power to run your rig for a couple of minutes after outside of water so you can get this motor hot enough to actually evaporate all the water that's inside of it. Because that's pretty much what's going to kill this motor. If you leave water sitting inside, it's going to rust everything in there. Your brushes are all going to get messed up, and there you go. You're going to need a new brushed motor for this, or an upgrade. Let's slide this back into its servo tray, screw it back in, and install it. Now don't install your steering servo horn until you can turn on the truck and then actually have this steering centered. You're also going to go ahead and make sure it's centered on your transmitter as well so you can get this perfectly centered. Get that to go through here. That goes under here. There you go. Zip tie those two wires back to this little middle bridge right here if you're good to plug everything back in. And don't forget your two screws right here for your battery tray. Well, don't make the same mistake I did. I plugged the servo in backwards, so make sure to look at the label right here because it's actually labeled. You have the yellow wire, which is your signal. You can get this parallel up and down as close as you can because that'll be centered. I think that's as centered as we're going to get it right there. It's a little bit off this side. That's why they had it to the right as much as they did. And then now you're going to trim this to center it. And there you go. It's pretty centered to me. Now we're back to annoying mini body clips. But you know what? They don't annoy me too much. I'm so old school, I'm so used to them, you know what I mean? And I'm one of those people that I get used to something, I don't like change. But I'm not gonna lie, the new TRX-4M body removal is nice. You know, even this one, they made a pretty good body system for this one. For the actual Ascent body. Why is it not going through? There you go. Ooh, have a mean rig right here now. What do you think about this, guys? I mean, you know, I'm a Yoda dude, so this always sparks my interest, but no front bumper, no rear bumper. This is just more like a straight build. You know, you bought a shell, and then you just build yourself the ultimate trail truck. Still not a rock crawler, you know, obviously. It's going to be top heavy, but it is a Lexan body, so it's not going to be as top heavy as you think. It's not going to be like that truck that you can see peeking in the background right there. And this is still all stock electronics, which has been waterproof. Oh man. This body fit on there pretty nicely, huh? Well, in my opinion, I like it. I know some people might say that's not scale because how lifted this thing looks. I don't know though, man. I live here in Arizona and I drive around and I see rigs that look like this all the time driving around. Transmission on this guy's quiet. I don't know if I'm not even sure if I want to get the metal gears for this, unless, you know, it's unreliable. If it snaps on me, I snap some gears in there, strip some gears, and go ahead and go metal. But for now, I think this rig is pretty set up for me, and I can't wait to take it out. And I'm actually still going to run it on the original body because I want you guys to see what that looks like on the trail, because I haven't trailed it yet with the original body. So that's what's going to be on here. Hope that was entertaining or helpful for you guys that want to waterproof your rigs. And for now, you know, stay safe out there. Don't have... Jeez. Well, there you guys go. My next run on this guy's going to be on the trail. with the original body on it, but with these tires on it already, because, you know, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen enough of the stock running of this, and it does pretty well stock for sure. But my trail, I know it's going to need some wheel weights to keep it from tipping over. So alright guys, thanks for watching as usual, and as always, stay safe out there, go have fun, and run that RC.